Ladies and gentlemen, our workshop is about to begin. Please have a seat and switch your phone to silent mode. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, our workshop is about to begin. Please have a seat and switch your phone to silent mode. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the industry workshop from compliance to competitiveness, how ESG integration benefits Vietnam businesses. My name is 𝗪𝗵𝗀 from the rep office of the HKU in Vietnam, and my pleasure to be your MC today. So, ladies and gentlemen, ESG, or environmental, social, and governance, has become increasingly important to organizations in Vietnam to not only comply with the regulation, but also to stay competitive in the global market. Our objective today is to provide you insights on how to apply ESG, can create value for Vietnam firms, and also to facilitate the discussion among experts on the best ESG practices. Today's event is co-organized by the Sunwah Group Vietnam, Vienna Capital, and HKU Business School, with support from the Vietnam Institute of Directors, VIOD, and the United Overseas Bank, UOB Vietnam. The event is also live on Facebook of Sunwah Innovation Center and the University of Hong Kong in Vietnam, via QuickCom, our streaming sponsor for today's workshop. And now, allow me to introduce our distinguished guests. From the Consulate General Chamber of Commerce and Business Association in Ho Chi Minh City, please welcome Ms. 𝗪𝗲𝗪𝗀, General Secretary of Thai Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Vietnam. Please welcome from Sunwah, Mr. Jesse Choi, Regional Director of Sunwah Group in Southeast Asia, CEO of Sunwah Innovations. Please welcome Ms. Katie Nguyen, Chief Representative of Sunwah Group in Ho Chi Minh City. From HKU Business School, please welcome Professor Quang Le, Academic Director of HKU in Vietnam. And please welcome Professor Roni Michaely, Professor of Finance and Entrepreneurship. From VNet Capital, please welcome Mr. 𝗀𝗂𝗀𝗀𝘀, Director, Head of ESG. And please welcome Ms. 𝗪𝗲𝗺, Business Ecosystem Director, USAID, Improving Private Sector Competitiveness. And please welcome Ms. 𝗿𝗲𝗺, Deputy CEO, 𝗪𝗵𝗁, a member of the PAN Group. And please welcome Dr. Hy Nguyen, Director in Charge, Thought Leadership and Academic Committee, Vietnam Institute of Directors. And now let's start our workshop with an opening remark from the Regional Director of Sunwah Group in Southeast Asia. Please welcome Mr. Jesse Choi.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Sunwah Group and Sunwah Vietnam, it is with my greatest pleasure to welcome you all here today to participate in the workshop titled From Compliance to Competitiveness, How ESG Integrates Benefits Vietnam Businesses. The workshop is hosted by Sunwah Vietnam, VNet Capital, and Business School of University of Hong Kong. We are also thankful to receive the valuable support from the Vietnam Institute of Directors, VIOD, and a member of Global Network of Director Institutes, United Overseas Bank, and Quick-Home. This workshop comes with a critical time for businesses in Vietnam. Given the growing importance of environment, social, and governance, ESG, considerations among investors, regulators, and consumers. It is no longer enough for companies to simply comply with regulations, but to actively integrate ESG factors into their businesses, strategies, and operations to enhance their competitiveness and create long-term values for all stakeholders. By prioritizing environmental sustainability, social responsibility, and good governance, companies can help create a better future for themselves and for society as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, as you may know, founded in 1957, Sunwah Group is a Hong Kong-based international conglomerate, and we have been operating in Vietnam for more than 50 years. Our business in Vietnam started in 1970s with seafood processing, and since then we have continued to diversify its investment in real estate, financial services, coffee trading, agriculture, and dry food products. Since 2018, as response to the government's call for support of the growth of the Vietnam Star Coast system, we launched Sunwah Innovations to foster cross-border innovation exchanges and boost entrepreneurship among Vietnamese youngsters. At Sunwah, we understand that the challenges we face today go beyond traditional business concerns. And that is why we are committed to uphold our responsibility as a corporate citizen. As one of the leading Hong Kong companies in Vietnam, we believe that our success is not only measured by financial performance, but also by the positive impacts which we have been creating for our stakeholders, customers, employees, and the local community in which we operate. From the outset of our operation in Vietnam, we have made sustainable and socially responsible practice a top priority. We have implemented energy efficient solutions in most of our projects. For example, we have injected some solutions in the AC system that increases the cooling efficiency in Sunwah Tower that you are here, and thus decreasing the electricity consumption. Additionally, we have created two CSR arms, namely Sunwah Foundation and Jonathan K.S. Choi Foundation, which have been driving various social services, educational, arts, and cultural initiatives in Vietnam for decades. Our long-standing commitment to social responsibility has been widely acknowledged and appreciated by the Vietnamese government, university, and people. More recently, through our initiative, Sunwah Innovations, we are also actively supporting impact innovation and circular economy programs. Our ultimate goal is to continue pursuing sustainable development and achieve many more 50-year milestones in Vietnam. On this occasion, I would like to express my deepest appreciation to our partners, Vietnam Capital, the Hong Kong Business School, VIOD, and UOB Vietnam for making this event happen. I would also like to send my regards to all the speakers for their participation in the workshop, including from USAID, Improving Private Sector Competitiveness, and Kang An Foods. I believe their valuable insights will shed light to how ESG can be integrated into and bring benefits to Vietnamese businesses. I hope the workshop today will serve as a good platform for us to learn, exchange experience, and collaborate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Choi. Please remain on stage for group photos. Now I would like to invite the following distinguished guests to come on stage for group photos. Please welcome Mr. 𝗪𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, Professor Roni Michaely, Professor 𝗀𝗂𝗀𝗀𝗀, Mr. 𝗀𝗂𝗀𝗀𝗀, Ms. 𝗬𝗲𝗀, Ms. Hà Phan, and Dr. Hiền Nguyen. Thank you very much. Please return to your seat. Ladies and gentlemen, today's event will have 3 keynote speeches, followed by a panel discussion and a 15-minute Q&A, plus a networking session at the end. So our first speaker comes from the startup nation, Israel. He will share with us the ESG startup ecosystem with case studies from Israel. Apart from being the professor at the HKU Business School, he's also a research member at the ECGI, and he's also the founding executive director of the HKU Tel Aviv Innovation Hub. Please welcome on stage Professor Roni Michaely.
Thank you very much. Great pleasure to be here this morning. I spent actually giving an academic lecture at the University of Economics of Ho Chi Minh City. We spoke, Jesse, actually a lot about a lot of the things that you were saying. You absolutely said exactly the right thing. Now, the question is not about you, of course, but in general, what out of what you said, what is what we call greenwashing and what is action? But we'll leave this to another talk because I don't want to have too many discussion about this right now. We can talk about it over the session later. You know, when Ha suggested that I'll give here a few words, she asked me, she said, can you please send us a picture with the jacket? And I told her I don't own one. So this is really, so first is the startup mentality and also the culture of Israel. In addition to what I told you, I'm also co-founder actually of 2 startups. So I cannot tell you that I'm involved 11 in them, but still devoting some time for them. One of them is actually in medical device, and the other one is in fintech, but again, we'll talk about it later. One last comment before we start, and I need a clicker maybe. Thank you. I think that when we speak, all of us, myself included, when we speak about ESG, it's actually a misused term because there is a big difference between the ES and the G. Okay, there's no argument about the G. Everyone wants better corporate governance. I don't have to convince Jesse to contribute to society and to the Vietnamese people to improve the governance of his firm, right? Where I do need convincing is on the E and the S, on the environment and social. So I think putting those together also in terms of measurement is a big mistake. I'm not the only one who thinks so, but sort of a lot of what we do, really we have to separate between them also when we measure the impact. Now, I have here a pretty ambitious agenda with how many slides? 40 slides. 49. Okay. We're not going to go through all of them, unless the other speakers don't want to speak. But we'll start, and actually I'm going to start a little bit about telling you a little bit about what sort of how I got to HKU at all and how we got into the 𝗬𝗀𝗃𝗃. So I've been professor of finance and entrepreneurship at Cornell University for over 25 years, and then the dean of the business school at HKU basically called me one day and said, I have an offer you cannot refuse. And he was right. I could not refuse. And the offer was actually to start for HKU an innovation hub in Israel. Okay, which I was commuting between Israel and New York for 20 years. So I could not refuse. And I enthusiastically embarked this journey. And actually, we have two main goals, and I will not bore you with all the details, but we have two main goals. The first goal is actually to enable the know-how in Israel in terms of as a startup nation, and we'll talk about that, to enable this knowledge and to bring it to both China, Hong Kong, Southeast Asia, with my goal of really helping this region sort of to elevate the ability to do entrepreneurship and innovation to the next level. Okay, so this is the first goal. The second goal that we have is actually also take it in practice and to be a focal point to businesses, okay, whether it's from Vietnam or from GBA that want to have some innovation and want to be introduced to startup and want to be design partners to the counterpart in Israel, and we've started to do that. I spent last week 2 days in Shenzhen actually talking with one of the hospitals there exactly about this type of program. So why did we, and this is sort of really our mission, and why did HKU decide to choose Israel as sort of doing it? It's really because Israeli innovation is really second to none. I'll show you some of the numbers. I'll go quickly through them, but the bottom line is that if you look at the number of startups per capita, it's the highest in the world. A nation of 9 million people with over 9,000 startups. If you look at the number of unicorn, it's fourth in the world. If you look at the number of absolute number of startups, is number 5 in the world, okay, with 9 million people. So we do a lot of things wrong. Those of you who follow the news, that lately we do even more things wrong. But in terms of innovation, we are able to do a few of the things right. So I'll talk a little bit about this secret sauce, and then we'll jump from this secret sauce actually to some example of environmental, not social. Actually, I'm going to today talk only about sort of environmental startup. And then if I have time, we'll talk a little bit about sort of what do we really offer and what can we offer sort of to you, your firm, your organization, etc. So just to put things in perspective, here we are here. This is Israel. Okay, Vietnam is 20 times larger in area and 15 times larger in population than Israel. Okay, just to put things a little bit in sort of in perspective. And flight time, I don't think they're direct flight, but flight time is probably going to be around 9 to 10 hours. And I'll start with a quote from our late president that said, in Israel, land lacking in natural resources, we learn to appreciate our greatest national advantage, our minds. Through creativity and innovation, we transform barren desert into flourishing field and pioneered new frontier in science and technology. Okay, so what is really behind it? Okay, why it happened there and not in other places? I'm sure there are more reasons than what I'm stating here, but this sort of will give you the sort of the gist of it. The first is really country without resources. Okay, 60% of the country is desert. There is no water. Sort of until 10 years ago, there's still no oil, but until 10 years ago, there was not even gas. Now we found some natural gas in the Mediterranean Sea. So necessity. Okay, add to the necessity the fact, I'll actually jump to this, there I go, to the fact that actually the culture in Israel is, in this sense, is very, very different than what you experience here. Okay, I'm sure that Jesse is a very good son to his father. You listen to your father, right? Okay. Now, I have 3 kids. None of them listen to me. Okay, whatever I said, there is always counter argument, which is irritating as hell. But, and by the way, I was way worse as a child. But the point is that it's a culture that questions everything. Okay, and everything is allowed to be questioned, and there is no authority. I have an 8-year-old, okay, my smallest one, and I went to Hong Kong for a month last month. I spent there a month, and I was able to get her into a school for 1 month in Hong Kong. She was in a shock. First time she saw kids in uniform. Okay, no one is going with uniform to school in Israel. Okay, the first time that she had to call her teacher Miss Hammond and not by the first name. Okay, so there is no distance. You question everything. And this is really, I think, a big part of actually how you also educate your kids that it is okay to take risk. And if you're not willing to take risk and embrace risk as a society, you will not be able to create an ecosystem that encourages entrepreneurship. And that's something that is very important. Again, this is both plus and minus. The can-do attitude means that 90% of Israel are way overconfident. Okay, but basically, whatever sort of you ask them to do, they say, of course I can do it. Maybe yes, maybe no. But that's the attitude that you need when you are going to start sort of a startup. I said no fear of failure. Now, add to that two things that are happening. First is the government support. Okay, since the late 80s, the government decided that they are going to support this tech ecosystem, and they've done it with incubator, with accelerator. I don't have time to go into the detail, but this is absolutely critical. Okay, because they've done two smart things. One is they put money into it, and second, they realized that they're not smart enough to know where to invest it. So that means they were actually doing co-investment with internationally known VCs, whether it's sort of Bessemer, Klein & Perkin, etc. Okay, so basically they brought them, they told them we're basically going to subsidize you, but you do it. Okay, we don't know how to do that. Okay, and the second thing is really the army. Okay, the army in Israel, not only that it's, you know, reasonably good army, but it's a compulsory service. Okay, so you put there an 18-year-old kid in the army, especially in the intelligence unit. I'm not telling you anything that is secret. There is a, you know, sort of unit called 8200, which is the largest intelligence unit in the Israeli army, and probably 70% of the startup actually came out of there. Okay, because you give those kids a sort of problem they have to deal with and to command on other kids more or less their age. And this is really where the culture is starting of basically, I can do anything, and all what I need is enough smart kids around me. And of course, also create a network. I'm sure that you guys have a network there. The army, I still have friends from the army. It's very effective sort of network. And the army does not have any IP. Okay, so it's not like you work for a company or university. Okay, we do something at HKU, immediately university will come, hey, the IP is ours. With the army, it doesn't happen. Okay, there is no IP, which is helpful for the rest. Okay, so let me sort of skip all those numbers that I talked about. But you see, even here, even today, in terms of R&D investment relative to GDP, you see that sort of Israel is still leading the world in terms of investment in R&D. Again, showing you the continual commitment is important. Okay, this is not, of course, only the government, but also the private sector. Fifth place in terms of the largest tech ecosystem in the world. And you look who is sort of ahead or below. This is really respectable sort of company to be in. This is critically important. Okay, there are over 300 multinational corporations that have R&D center in Israel. Okay, so I'll just sort of mention one, which is Microsoft. How was actually in the center of Microsoft in Israel. They have the largest R&D center outside of the US in Israel. There's over 3,000 scientists there. But it's, so first they grow a lot of the people. 3,000 people are leaving, people are coming. Sort of all these people are afterward, or many of these people afterward create their own startup. And not only that, those Microsoft and Google and IBM and the rest, they also represent an amazing exit strategy for the startup. Okay, because IPO only few in between getting to an IPO. So the other exit strategy is actually other corporation buying them. They're all there. They know it. It's a big, big, big plus. Okay, I will not tell you what all these great people are saying about this. Other than Warren Buffett, I'll just say one. If you're going to the Middle East to look for oil, you can skip Israel. If you're looking for brain, look no further. Israel has shown that it has a disproportionate amount of brain and energy. Okay, so this is really what I'm telling you here, a little bit behind it. It's not sort of DNA, okay? I can promise you that. It's not DNA. All what it is the culture of taking risks and sort of, and of course, education and investment. Okay, so if we go to the climate, which is the topic of what we're talking, I'm going to talk here. Again, 700 startups only in climate tech. 6.7 billion investment between 2018 and 21. And this is a very impressive amount of investment. And 1 out of 7 of those startups that start is in climate tech. This is sort of super, super hot. And you see also the number in terms of the growth and everything. I don't have to convince any one of you, I think, that today investing in climate and ES in general, sort of it's hot. I heard that there are some entrepreneurs here that are doing EdTech, which is also part of the S of the ESG. I don't know exactly who they are. It's somewhere here, I was pointed out, but that's definitely part of that. If you look sort of just in this arena, over $200 million government R&D investment, academic institutes. Okay, that's critical. The academic institute, whether it's the Technion, the Whiteman Institute, Tel Aviv University, are actually producing scientists that enabling sort of this type of innovation. And we speak with sort of with many of them. And if you look at the split, you see that you have clean energies clearly sort of leading the pack, but also food tech is very, very big, as you see here with alternative protein, and you have agri-tech, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so in terms of startup, you see here again, climate, as I said before, climate is sort of the leading one, followed by clean energy, mobility, Mobileye, those of you who are in the car business or autonomous cars, and sort of low carbon, which is also gaining a sort of popularity and sort of an importance. This is just a few examples of sort of unicorns in Israel. Actually, there are actually 2 that I think are particular of interest to the ecosystem here. One of them is Optibus, okay, because I saw the traffic here, which is amazing, sort of chaotic. And Optibus actually is having a very nice system of optimization, actually, of minibuses and buses, sort of to synchronize them, and by which sort of reducing waste both of time and of energy. Really cool company. I can be happy to make an intro. And the other one is tomorrow.io. I will talk if I have time. You'll signal to me when I want you to stop, okay? Okay, so this is just some map of the ecosystem. It's not that you can get something out of it other than say, wow. Okay, let's dive into some concrete example, and I'll try to go through 3, and then sort of I'll skip the rest. I think the first one is NDRIP, and I spoke with some of you outside about NDRIP. NDRIP actually is coming and solving sort of a problem that is very acute to also what's going here, which is the water crisis, especially when you grow rice and you need a lot of water for rice. And the problem with the current irrigation system, and I'll show it to you here, current irrigation system, it's not only for rice, this is for around the world, is the majority of the field are still being irrigated in a system called flooding. You sort of flood to one extent or the other, you flood the field. And it creates several sort of problems, not only the fact that you are wasting tons of water, but also the fact that it's expensive, Sometimes it's also energy intensive, and it's actually the emission of gas and the destroying of the soil are very significant. So the question is how to solve it. So you see you have the sprinkler, but again, the sprinkler you need a lot of energy, and you don't have in every place sort of here or elsewhere the energies that it needed for that. And then you have what's called the micro irrigation. It's another Israeli company called 𝗪𝗪𝗺 that invented this, but still it has its own issue, but this is a very, very large company. And you see here, this is an example from the Colorado River, what you see from overusing the Colorado River in terms of water for the flooding, what has happened to the river. Sort of you see here the drawback of the flood irrigation, and this actually startup is able in a very interesting way sort of to solve this problem. Okay, you see here the flooding, and actually they were able to get into a system that does not require sort of energy, but it's really by pressure, and also does not need water filtration, which take also energy, and they don't need it actually to irrigate the field in a way that save up to 45% in water, increase the yield. Okay, so you're not harming the yield, and also reduce the CO2 emission, which is of course sort of critical. And what you see here is by sort of the UN sort of standards, what is the reduction on various ways, but it's really it uses existing, sort of efficiently irrigating based on gravity, so it does not need energy and operate with natural water without expensive filtration. 7 minutes. Thank you very much. Okay, so this company, by the way, just last year raised money. It's still a relatively young company. If I remember correctly, its valuation is somewhere between $1 and $2 billion. Okay, it's still a young company. Some of the companies, not that I'm going to show you, but some of the companies are actually sort of more mature. But again, if you want more detail, we'll talk about it sort of later, just because we don't have the time for it. Okay, let me go to something completely different. Vietnam has, 2,500 kilometers of coastline, I think, right? Something like that? Okay. So one of the problems with coastline is you want to start so to create some sort of marines and stuff like this, and you're going to use the concrete to build them. Apparently, the concrete that you build, sort of marine or the jetties, are extremely polluting, both in terms of the cement that they're using and the environmental damage. And e-concrete was able actually to solve it. Only environmental concrete technology that fully complies with marine construction standard and provide biological and financial benefits. Okay, so basically the way they do it, it's special material that resemble concrete, but it's not exactly the standard concrete that you know. That instead of destroying actually the marine life, is able to encourage the marine life sort of to continue. And you see sort of here how it's built in a way that, of course, everything is, all of this is patented. The material composition, the complexity of the service, and the design, such as you see from here, sort of actually marine life is growing on it rather than something destroyed. And not only this, also the cement is not something that is environmentally sort of damaged. And we'll say enable sustainable future, sort of in terms of the save in terms of the CO2 emission. Very interesting company. I know it because actually my partner in life, and which she worked for Microsoft, that's why I know so much about Microsoft. She is the head of innovation there. They decided actually to sort of to invest in that. This is supposed to didn't come out. This is your fault. Tomorrow.io. Okay, this is actually a company that was created by two F-15 pilots that, after finishing the military service, which is for pilots 9 years, okay, went to HBS, to Harvard Business School for MBA, and together they thought about sort of given their experience in pilot. They say one of the problems as pilots is that we don't know the weather that you expect in every layer when we're flying. Okay, so then they actually expanded it to sort of a greater problem that there are many parts of the world, I presume that Vietnam part of it, that the world is not only unpredictable, but that you don't have enough weather stations. Okay, so sometimes you don't really know the exact weather. And actually what they're doing is able, through various instruments, to come with a much better prediction sort of weather. And you can see from here the problem, and of course, this is related to the ES or to the environmental sort of portion of the weather. We need to adopt living in much more volatile climate, especially now when the climate is becoming more volatile. Sort of how do we do that? And the way that they're able actually to sort of what they're doing is not only able to forecast the weather better, not only for the airlines, by the way, and they already have contracts with all the American airlines sort of about weather forecasting, because if you know exactly what will be the weather in 2 hours in St. Louis and you know that you should not land there but landing in a nearby airport, you can save tens of thousands of dollars because you don't have plane delay, etc. But they also have it with the Federal Express and other that enable them to, what they do is both able to forecast the weather and then give you an actionable item. Okay, so especially if you're an SME, small or medium enterprise, it's not always that you even have the resources to say, okay, the weather is going to be with some thunderstorm or whatever. What is the actionable item for me? So they are doing two things. They are able to forecast the weather, and they have now, they're putting out their own satellites, and they're also giving you an actionable item. And you see here the proprietary global weather data, in-house high-resolution forecasting model. This is, of course, using AI. Everyone is using today AI, and weather intelligent sort of SaaS. And actually, the guy was just on CNBC the other day. Okay, so this is just a list of the clients you see from Uber, JetBlue, Ford, Patriots, football team, sort of, etc. Okay, Natafim, I'm going to skip this one just because I have, 3 more minutes? Okay. And tell you a little bit about more after you get some taste of sort of, in a way, what we're doing in the hub. And it's really sort of a highway to cutting edge Israeli startup in climate, food tech, ed tech, etc. As I said, we're doing 2 things. One is we created the go-to place for cross-border interaction between academia, tech and entrepreneur and investor. We put actually a lot of emphasis on deep knowledge, not only of organizing sort of meeting with startup. That's not what we're doing, or not only what we're doing. And we're really trying to create an environment that is immersive in terms of the entrepreneurship, in terms of the guests that are coming, etc. And we're also along the way, sort of one of the criteria, and I actually experienced it in the week that she was there, is really close encounter with startup nation or with the startups, exploring Israeli innovation system, meeting with the Israeli experts, meeting interesting startup and potential investment and collaboration opportunities. So I think I'm going to stop here. You see here our website, and you can scan it. And if you want more information, we can do it after the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Roni, for your sharing with case study from Israel. So ladies and gentlemen, moving forward, let's have a look at how ESG is happening in the Vietnam context. Our next speaker is the director and head of ESG at the VNet Capital, one of the few businesses that have in-house ESG and research team that engaging with management on ESG policies and practices. Please welcome on stage Mr. 𝗀𝗂𝗀𝗀𝗀.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm very pleased to be here to present about ESG practice at Vietnam Capital and the snapshot in Vietnam. And thank you, Roni, for the very interesting topic. And I know you have a lot to present, and so we would like to take my time so you can present also. presentation. Eating. Okay, so what is ESG? ESG is a term describing environmental, social, and governance aspects. And so ESG is not new, not very new. Actually, you can see environmental or social practice in Vietnam quite long from now. And me as well, previously I worked as an environmental specialist. And, sorry, the microphone is not so good. Can I change it? So previously, I working as an environmental specialist, and then I working as environmental and social specialist, and I'm working as environmental, social, and governance specialist. So you can see the growing topic in Vietnam as well, and I'm pretty lucky that I follow that trend. From the recent research conducted by VIOD and PwC, 80% of the company said that they are willing or are ready to deploy some ESG practice into their business. But we also see a lot of gaps between the commitment of the company or the intention of the company and their practice. So I will explain it a little bit more later on. And also, I would like to tell all the companies in Vietnam that please see ESG as an opportunity, not a threat or challenge. And I will also explain why. The importance of ESG is still a lot of argument about that globally, but in Vietnamese context, I need to see, I need to tell you that it's an opportunity, not a challenge, because for so many companies I've been working with, they can save a lot of production costs by implementing ESG practice and initiative. For example, an furniture, not furniture, but a tea company that use a lot of coal as an energy for to heat up their tea, and by it accounted for 50 production costs of the companies, and by reducing 20% of the coal being used or changing it to biomass, they can save a lot of energy, and they can save a lot of costs for production as well. So some barriers that Vietnamese enterprise are facing at the moment. Firstly, is about the perception of the companies, as I mentioned before. They see ESG as a threat or a challenge, but actually it's not. If they think of the cost of not doing ESG and the cost of doing ESG, you can see the cost of not doing ESG is much more significant. For example, recently, so many textile companies lose their contract from the European buyers just because of not good ESG standard. They lose most of their contracts. So the cost of not doing ESG is very high. And as I said, ESG can bring the income to the company as well, not only the expense. And the company should do ESG to access to the low capital. Recently, our Eric here, the head of business development in Vina Capital, he's been working around with some investors globally, and all of them ask a question about what are the ESG practices at Vina Capital. So if companies or investors in Vietnam doing ESG very well, they can access a lot of potential buyers or a lot of potential investors and partners as well. So think it as an opportunity, and the startup will, or the company will have a good strategy for that. And but also we see one of the major challenge here in Vietnam as is the ESG skill. So we do not have many ESG experts in Vietnam at the moment, that I can say. And so the company would like to do something, but they do not know how to do it because of the lack of the human resources. I can also see that it is opportunity for university to add more training program on ESG, and so many more green jobs can be added into the labor market in the coming years. And so please see it as an opportunity for labor market as well. And so FDI flow still come into Vietnam, and Vietnam economy still benefit a lot from FDI from developed country. So all of them will come with some condition. As I said, the investor or the bank or the partners from developed country, when it comes into Vietnam, they always look for transparency. They will always look for ESG practice of the target or the potential partners to see how they are doing, how they practice ESG within the company. And that is also the opportunity for company. And all those standards or policy, you can see the EU taxonomy, SFDR, UNPRI, Sustainable Development Goals, or IFC performance standards, or ECOTOP principle. They will be applied for all of the projects from the OECD country to be implemented in Vietnam. For example, renewable energy or solar power project in Vietnam implemented by an US investor. They need to be applied with the international good practice of IFC performance standard, not only the Vietnamese regulation on environment. So why do they need transparency? Because, for example, at Vietnam Capital now, we are doing the ESG rating for the companies that we intend to invest in or we have invested in. But the information, ESG data from the company is very, I can say, very limited. So we need to spend a lot of effort to obtain those information from the company to evaluate their ESG practice. That would, and other investors should do the same as well. So that will a lot of effort. So I think if the company proactively disclose their ESG practice, disclose their ESG data, that would be much easier for us and for other partners to access their ESG practice. If you hide something, that means that you are not good at it, right? So if you are very good at something, you can disclose it. Or even if you are not good at something, you can disclose, you can tell other people that I'm not good at this one, but I have the roadmap to improve it. So that would be considered as a pretty good practice instead of hiding something. So transparency is very important aspect. For example, Lego in Vietnam as well, they pledged their net zero commitment for the new factory in Vietnam, and they decided to put their factory in Vietnam also because of the commitment from Vietnamese government on the net zero by 2050. That means all of the partners who like to work with Lego need to disclose all their ESG practice and need to prove that they are working well on ESG, right? And how to start? Firstly, we have recommended our partners and portfolio companies, and they should firstly disclose their mission, their vision, and the core value related to ESG and related to the mutual benefit they provide to the partners and the community. And secondly, they can working with their ESG disclosure or ESG internal evaluation to see what they are and where they are with their good practice standard. And after that, they should establish a roadmap to improve one aspect with the prioritize for some easy thing and important thing first. And so opportunity, as I mentioned before. So at ESG at Vietnam Capital, I would like to give you a brief introduction about what we are doing at Vietnam Capital. We apply ESG rating for our portfolio companies and company we intend to invest in. And at the moment, we have carried out 101 rating for ESG for company. And we also send ESG letter to all of the companies that we invested in, telling them what should be done and what initiative they can apply to their business. So 60 letter had been sent. So, and 100 of our portfolio have ESG score. So based on that, we can see ESG risk and ESG opportunity for each company, and we will have the roadmap to engage with companies to improve their ESG practice. And we also always commit with our leadership to improve the ESG practice among Vietnamese market. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kou, for your practical insight on ESG integration in Vietnam. So ladies and gentlemen, we all learn about the ESG importance. So what are the available resources and support to promote the private sector-driven sustainable growth in Vietnam? To answer this question, I would like to invite Business Ecosystem Director of the USAID Improving Private Sector Competitiveness Project, Ms. 𝗪𝗲𝗀, to come on stage.
Sorry, I would like to stand here to be more confident with the broad audience today. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending today's workshop, and this is very interesting topics. And our project is also one of the focus of our project in the coming time is ESG and sustainable development support for private sector. So that's why I'm very glad. It is my pleasure to be here today to talk about what we offer to private sector, and we really would like to look forward to further collaboration with more stakeholders in enhancing and fostering the ESG adoption among private sector in Vietnam. Excuse. So first of all, I do some introduction about myself. My name is 𝗪𝗲𝗀. I am representing for today. I represent for the project named Improving Vietnam Private Sector Competitiveness (IPSC), funded by the U.S. Agency for International Development (USAID), and our main government counterpart is the Agency for Enterprise Development under the Ministry of Planning and Investment (MPI). So together, USAID and MPI are the core partner to support private sector in Vietnam throughout the 5-year programs that we are doing since, from 2021 to 2025. Actually, we are very excited to work closely with private sector and many other stakeholders to explore, to talk about opportunities and solutions for promoting ESG in private sector, in the Vietnamese private sector. First of all, I would like to do some brief introduction of our project so that we can see our project is very much in line and closely linked with the topic we discussed today. Our project is a 5-year project, and as I told before, we are like the two main partners is USAID and MPI, and we go together with supply and market side, foster both sides so that the enterprise in Vietnam can be more enhanced with the capacity. We provide technical assistance to small and growing businesses. Here we define small and growing businesses, SGB, as the enterprises, household businesses, cooperatives with fewer than 500 full-time employees. We see that even Vietnam have taken many significant efforts to sustainable economic growth during the past year, but SGBs in Vietnam still faced with many challenges to access market, to access capital, to access knowledge. So that's why the core focus of our project is to provide capacity for better doing business of SGB around the country. During the 5 years from 2021 to 2025, we aim to provide technical assistance to at least 5,000 SGBs, in which we focus on, we also focus the technical assistance, more intensive support to 60 SGB we call pioneering enterprise, so that those enterprise can produce highly value added products and build Vietnamese brand to go global. So far, we are in the 3rd year of implementation, and over 2,000 SGBs in most of the provinces in Vietnam have benefited from our technical assistance. Many of them have increased the revenue, have new markets, have applied new business practices, and thanks to the technical assistance of our project in different modes, they really appreciate what we provide to them. Coming back to the topic today, our project is between USAID and MPI, so we are going in line with the government's agenda to promote sustainable business around the private sector. Here I highlighted some key program and agenda that the government of Vietnam has been issued during many recent years, in which two key agenda that we provide technical assistance along with the National Green Growth Strategy and the Prime Minister commitment at COP26, and particularly the Decision 167, enacting the program to support private sector enterprises, sustainable businesses. Further detail on the Decision 1667. This. The 167 with the objective to increase sustainable development in private sector, and we target to ensure the harmony between economic efficiency, social responsibility, environmental protection, so that it can contribute to the Vietnam's commitment of fulfillment of 17 UN SDGs by 2030. We foster different sustainable business models, such as business model applying circular economy and inclusive business model. We also have to develop an ecosystem to support sustainable business activities and provide technical support to businesses in their sustainable development. So in that momentum, USAID and MPI to foster the implementation of Decision 167, we had last year in November 2022, we opened a joint program to promote, to support private sector-driven sustainable growth until 2025 under the IPSC scope. In this program, we want to engage business community to adhere to sustainable investment, businesses, and ESG adoption in the Vietnamese private sector. We also want to foster businesses' capacity in adopting good ESG practices. And together with that, with the MPI's role, we support the developing a legal framework and instrument to promote ESG. For example, we are now in the process of building up some ESG toolkits to help private sector can do self-assessment about their ESG adoption level. So also we want to foster the network and partnership to advocate and reinforce sustainable business development. Our ambitious target is through our IPSC project, we would like to raise the awareness for very broad business community in Vietnam, and in which we provide more intensive support to at least 300 private sector companies to practice, to pilot, to scale up, or to implement their ESG ideas, initiative. Further details about our program, we categorize into some groups. One is ESG raising awareness. I think this workshop is one of very fruitful and valuable raising awareness workshop. And our project also would like to do the same way to spread the knowledge, the awareness about ESG adoption, the opportunities, the challenge, the risk of ESG for private sector of Vietnam through different workshops, different seminars, and media channels. And we also mainstream the ESG topics in different capacity building support package. So far, we provide different models of training and capacity building for in different topics such as marketing, such as human resource management, such as leadership, and we will mainstream the ESG topics in all of these this capacity building issues. Particularly recently, we announced the so-called Vietnam ESG initiative. And every year from now until 2023, every year we organize this initiative. Each year we expect to provide at least 3 to 4 SGBs and up to totally 6 billion Vietnamese đồng in total for all of the 10 that we expect to support it by 2025. We provide under the technical assistance modes to support them either to pilot, implement, or scale up the ESG model or circular economy model or inclusive business model they are doing. And as I told you, we also expect to provide like very intensive training and coaching about ESG and sustainable business model to at least 300 private sector companies in Vietnam. And now we are in the process of scoping that technical assistance support. And we hope that we can collaborate with different industrial sectors, different business associations, supply chain leading firms to provide very so that we can provide efficient and very close to the need of each industry. And in terms of policy support, of course, MPI and the government Vietnam see the opportunities, the challenges of ESG if the Vietnamese private sector does not apply it as soon as possible. So in the coming time, we will conduct a baseline study with the broad business community with more focus on small firms in Vietnam so that we can see how the ESG awareness, how the ESG adoption, how ESG practice is really in Vietnam. Because I think that there are several like VOID survey, but I think most of the responses maybe from FDI or big firm or export-oriented firms. But for what we conducted another survey within the company that benefit attend our capacity building training packages. Most of them are smaller one. Even they really don't know if many of them really don't know what ESG is, and they ask what is ESG and why we do need to understand and to apply it. And so that's why I think if they don't start from now, from awareness raising, it's really difficult chance for us to really make them really practice ESG. So that's what MPI, what government can do, start from awareness raising. And as I told you, we also try to support the development of self-assessment toolkits for different sectors so that just association or industrial organization can help the businesses in that sector to self-assess their own company, what the level of ESG they are doing and what's the gap they need to fill in. So that's all from my side, from our project, that we are willing to open the chance to collaborate with all of you, with private sector, with investor, with leading firms to spread to awareness raising for our private sector in Vietnam. And we should start from now. Otherwise, it's too late for Vietnam to go with the trend of the world. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Fan. So ladies and gentlemen, through the sharing, I believe that we all see the importance of ESG for business sustainable development in Vietnam. And to further dive into the ESG in the local context, let's move to the panel discussion on the ESG integration in Vietnam, opportunities and challenges for businesses and investors. Allow me to introduce our panelists today. Please welcome on stage Mr. 𝗀𝗂𝗀 from Vinac Capital, Professor Roni Michaely from HKU Business School, and Ms. 𝗿𝗏𝗀 from Khang An Foods, a member of the PAN Group. And the panel discussion today will be moderated by Dr. Hien Nguyen from Vietnam Institute of Directors, VIOD. Ms. Hien and the panelists, the floor is yours.
Mr. Choi, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our panel discussion. It is my great honor to be the moderator of the discussion about the topic, the ESG integration in Vietnam, opportunity and challenges for business and investors. I feel great honor to be able to attend this very important event in this very important moment of time where investment growth is significant in the last several years, showing a very strong interest of investors in ESG and how Vietnam is prepared for that to take grip of the opportunities. So this topic actually is no more important as today when we talk about it. So I would like to take kind of several minutes to give opportunity for panelists to make a short introduction, and then we go into the discussion. I take opportunity to hold the microphone to make a short introduction myself. first. My name is Hiên. I'm from the VIOD. Actually, I would like to give a brief information about VIOD. It has been in place for 5 years. It's gonna celebrate the 5th anniversary this month. And VIOD actually, we have seen how our panelists mentioned, it is very important to raise awareness. At VIOD, actually, the main focus we do for companies is to provide the training and awareness raising for the board level and senior executive level. We call corporate leaders. So we have a mission to update the board members of companies and also senior advisor executives about the coming challenge and opportunity. So we see that it is very important to update the board and also the top leaders of companies because awareness should come from the top. And recently we have made a lot of activity in ESG. For example, we do like a collaborative study with the PwC about ESG that we have seen in our panelist presentation. And we also provide training of trainers to our facilitators who's going to teach the board of directors. So that is a way to kind of quickly update the leaders of what is important about ESG. And so far we have provided training to almost 1,000 leaders of companies from nearly 300 companies, of which 1/3 is listed companies on the stock markets. Apart from VIOD, I also a faculty member of Business School of University of Technology, a member of the VNU Ho Chi Minh City. And the university actually also provide training of business to engineers and the future startup founders and co-founders. I would like to invite Ms. Dong-ho. She's from Khang Ang Foods, a member of Pan Group's very successful startup for ESG related activity in shrimp industry. So I would like to invite you to make a short introduction, please.
Thank you. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dong. I'm from Khang Ang Food. We are a member of the Pan Group. We are 100% exporting company specializing in seafood and vegetable frozen provided to all over the world. My background, firstly, I work in the financial industry. And then after that, I back to transfer from my position to export company that the company I work for now. And I enjoy a lot of position from sales, quality assurance to the human resource, and that link to the ESGs nowadays. So that's why I have my honor today to share about the story about what we really do in our business. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
That's so great. Thank you. May I invite Professor Roni? Maybe you share a little bit about the HKU, the Innovation Hub with the talent bit. Thank you.
So I don't want to bore you since I already spoke about the Innovation Hub. So I'm going to make a few comments. First, actually, I tell you about one of the startups that I'm involved that I think is also in sort of related to the ES. Again, let's put the G aside. Which is actually early detection of ovarian cancer. I don't know how many of you know, but ovarian cancer is one of the deadliest cancer for women and very hard to detect. And I'm working with the scientist. I'm not there the scientist, even though I'm a finance professor, that actually discovered that you can detect early the markers related to ovarian cancer through the cervical fluid rather than blood check. And then again, we're using pretty sophisticated AI to find the combination of markers that best detect it. And so far, the indications are very positive about the ability to detect it early and to detect it effortlessly with minimal sort of expense. If you talk about sort of creating such a startup, and I don't know how many of you have been in medical diagnosis and medical device, there's something called the value of death. which means they can get the initial funding, but then you have 4 or 5 years or 6 years before you really succeed, before you get the sort of initial funding, and that's really where the government also of Israel helped us a little bit. But the biggest obstacle is actually to get patients. Okay, Israel is such a small country that actually getting enough patients is sort of an obstacle. And who knows, maybe we can do something here in Vietnam sort of to do that. And so so our goal is first is really to detect the cancer, and then actually we're thinking about the medical device that is related to microfluidity, which you can think about it like a pad that you can put sort of once every 3 months, because there is also variation across women and across time to detect it. And then basically sort of you put it once every 3 months, you take a picture of it, you send it to the cloud, and some doctors in Vietnam or in India sort of analyze it and see if there is anything to be done. So this is just a story that is related sort of maybe more to the S than sort of to the G about another thing that is being done in Israel. Thank you.
Very interesting startup in medical effort. Thank you so much. Mr. Please. Yes.
Yep, thank you very much. A little bit about myself. My background is on environmental engineering. I did my engineering degree at the Hanoi University of Science and Technology, and did my master degree on environmental management at Flinders University of Australia. And I've been working in sustainability issues for businesses in Vietnam now is around 13 years. And about Vina Capital, we are one of the leading investment manager and asset manager in Vietnam. We invested in listed company, in pre-listed companies. We also invest in some renewable energy project. We have investing in an LNG to power project in Long An, and we also have our Vina Living that an real estate investment platform. Yeah,
thank you so much for a very informative introduction about our panelists. I would like to start the discussion with Ms. 𝗿𝗏𝗀, please. This is a very impressive story. Established in 2020 as a member of Pan Group, the Khang An Food has been a very successful startup in the shrimp and agricultural industry. We have seen that you have made a great effort in helping the ESG principles to be integrated into all aspects of the business and operations, so that you can build a sustainable supply chain for Vietnam shrimp industry. Could you please share a little bit about Khang An Food's experience in implementing ESG practices? And what is the primary motivation or primary driving force behind your strong commitment toward the ESG, and what is the impact so far you have seen ESG have bring to your business? Could you please?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Hinh, for your questions. Any project, I believe, the successful come from many factors. But firstly, it should come from the strong commitment from the top senior management and the owner as well, I believe. And ESG has applied the same concept. So from beginning, from the first day of establishment, we have a strong commitment and strong support from our parent company, is the Pan Group and Vietnamese. Yeah, and we inherited from their existing framework and their culture, and from that one we inspire to do this good thing, and from that we can do and develop better and better. Yeah, just talk about the existing framework. Currently we have ESG is based on the 17 criteria on the United Nations. You can Google that easily, and then from that we build for our ESGs. For the first one is environment. We have built our own. Firstly, I would like to introduce about my company. Is about 100% exporting for the frozen food, for the frozen shrimp and vegetable to all over the world. And to build a sustainable way, we develop our own farm. And to the environment, the farm should be met the international standard from all our customers from over the world. And the international standard is require a lot about the environment. That one, when you farming a shrimp, and then you need the water taken in the pond, and the water should be a good quality. And then after you release and after harvesting the shrimp, and you need to discharge the water to the environment. But the thing is, the water should be met the law, the law requirement. So this is one of the story about the farm. And in the factory, we also do try to reduce the carbon footprint year by year. We are just a small company. We just established for 2.5 years. But until last year, we have the company. We have the very specific number on the carbon footprint compared to the last year. We try to our aim to reduce every year per ton per finished product on the unit we produce. Yeah. And in our factory, we try to classify into different kind of drugs. That's why we have dangerous drugs. We also classify into another bins like the light or the battery. That's the dangerous. And the other is recyclable drugs for plastic bottle or any clothes we use. Yeah. And the other is just for household drugs like the food you consume. Yeah. And for the recycled drugs, we selected some of our supplier to meet our standard, and we can sell to them to let them recycle into a different product. And that kind of product they can sell to the market, and we use the number we selling to them, we return back to our people. That's the one thing we encourage our people to do that good. And the other way is we also educate them to make it at your home as well, to educate your children, to do that things like what we are doing. For the second thing is about the people in community. We try to connect our people together. It's not only our people, but also about our supplier, about all the people in our supply chains and the community as well. 3 months ago, we give out our New Year calendar. You know, the traditional calendar is big like this. Yeah, it's very big. And it includes 6 pages. On each page, we include the ESG topic, like to give out that all of our people, all of our supplier can understand about what we are doing and encourage people to do it good. That's the example for, like you can see, that's related to about the health and safety. So that's the information put in the calendar. And some of our supplier, they work with the farmer directly, and they know, and then they can train them to let them know which way is the good, and safe for the farmer health. And the other is we guarantee the settle the payment to all of our supplier, settle on the time to make sure they have enough the money to pay for for their farmer, for their employees as well. Yeah. And about the company, we try to not only we try, but our aim to do every year. We give out something new to our employee, to our people, for small thing like happy birthday for 1,000 people in our factory, just small gift to make them happy. Yeah. And another things this is the tip for personal finance. Mr. Can you help me to show another pages? Yeah, just a tip for people like how to use money in a good way. Yeah, 1,000 people in our factory. Not all people can know exactly they use their money on the right way. Or like sometimes when they lack of amount, then you will go to like black market to ask for. Yeah, a black market to ask for the very high interest rate, and then after that, like they cannot pay anymore, and then they lose their job because the black market guy will come every day to ask them to pay and then do something else that bad. So we make like a brief on the personal finance to like make them know the way which way they can do effectively. Yeah. And we have many programs for this kind of thing. We also invest in the massage chair because our business nature, the people have to stand for all day. So, you will get tired easily. And we invest in a massage chair. Some people ask me why we have to invest in massage chair because it costs a lot of money. But like in a proper way, we have a lot of women working in our factory, more than 48% women. Yeah. And we understand like our women, sometimes we feel not good at some day in the month. And then for the massage chair can help you to recover and to help you to release your tiredness, to back right to the work very fast. And the main purpose is like, for our company, I have people enough to work on the production chains. And the other benefit for our people is you get good health, you got good as spirit. And when you back to work, you can get like some income for that day, instead like you just get off and you cannot have any income for that day. And that's some example, just account for that's our social about our people. Besides, we also have the promoting for the equal opportunities, equal employment opportunities. More than 45% in our companies are women leaders. And last year we sold 55 tons based on the recyclables, the classified the bin trust, to sell for the environment. And based on the technologies, we don't use paper anymore. So last year we also sell for 1 ton of paper, just easily. We sell 1 ton, and we also sell from ink. Yeah, that's very dangerous to the environment as well. Yeah, and also talk about the equal opportunities. We have 60% of our company. They are from the minority ethnic group. We are King Vietnamese. We are King group ethnic, but like mostly they from the Khmer ethnic. Yeah, working in our company. And about the government, the last but not least about the government, ESG stands for the environment, social, and governance. To maintain this all practice, keep it's good for every year. It takes a lot of effort. If you want to do something bad, it's very quickly. But you want to maintain all the good things, it takes a lot of hard work and hard job for you to do. And that's why we used to talk to our people like we need to don't let any product, don't let anything to be out of date when you want to publish it in outside. Yeah, and then for from that kind of thing, we try to improve every year to update any news information. We'll update to our people and let them know and study quickly. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
This is a very wonderful sharing. Yeah, very informative. Everything needs to come from the top commitment, right? But then your story about how you look at ESG is very holistic. Everyone could be in your network value, the value network that you build. Very impressive story. Thank you. So may I have this question for Mr. Kong? It is a big congratulations to Vina Capital for winning the prize of the most reliable investor from Pacific Basin Economic Council. So Vina Capital is one of the very first institutional investor that is very aware about the importance of ESG. And could you please explain why you have chosen a sustainability investment so early, quite well before the ESG has been aware in Vietnam?
Thank you very much for the question. And actually, I don't know. Yeah, we didn't know that we won the prize before they sent us an email. So I guess just because of our effort, so we always trying to do our best with integrate ESG consideration into our investment life cycle. So, and we also disclose all of our policy and practice on our website. And maybe that is one of the factors that they understand that we are one of the leading organization in Vietnam doing ESG into investment. So maybe that is the reason.
You are among the first institutional investor that invest in sustainability. What is the reason why you identify sustainability investment so early, even before companies in Vietnam are aware about that?
Yeah, as I said, our senior management see ESG as an opportunity. So they really want to do something more sustainably. And I think the first, actually, we are not the first investor in Vietnam establish our ESG policy. We established our policy since 2019. And before that, there are one or two other investor issue their ESG policy. But we actively working on bringing our ESG policy into practice. So we build up our structure, our framework, our process to integrate ESG into our investment. We do establish our ESG framework when like Sustainalytics or Morningstar or S&P do not have their coverage in Vietnam for ESG score. We establish our own framework to obtain the data to evaluate the ESG performance and risk from our company that we invested in. So I mean, we actively and spend a lot of effort to integrate it into our day-to-day business. And internally, we also have our ESG award that reward all of the initiative or all of the contribution in terms of ESG for our own staff. And it is a very exciting award internally.
Yeah, initiative and efforts like Vina Capital in Vietnam is very important, a very big encouragement for companies to start doing ESG. Thank you for your sharing. So may I have a question for Professor Roni, please? Your sharing is so impressive. Everyone knows about Israel, but then the numbers really tell something. The fifth in the size of ESG ecosystem in the world, with the company, with the country with only like 9 million people, you could do amazing things. So could you please share with us what are the key factors of help technology, ESG tech developments or startups become kind of such a success, big success in Israel? And then we could see that you choose the next mission of transferring your success to Asia. And you started with Hong Kong, and you started with the Hong Kong University Technology Innovation Hub. So could you please share with us what will be the, how have you been able to make the Israeli lessons to be learned in Hong Kong, especially through the Hong Kong University and through the Innovation Hub? And what actually you think the Hong Kong University has performed its role in promoting innovation in climate tech or ESG technology development in Asia?
That's a long question. Okay, so first, actually, as a professor, I want to clarify a few points that I think are critical to the discussion. Okay, when you think about the ES, again, we're putting the G aside, when you think about the ES, there are really two components that are not related to each other. One is the company, like your company, which is trying to improve its score on the ES scale. This does not necessarily mean anything about innovation like the startup that I was talking about. Actually, on the scale of what you're talking, Israel is doing a lousy job. Okay, if you look at the cement factories, if you look at the sort of consumption of energy through coal, Israel is not doing a good job. Okay, where Israel is doing an impressive job is on the other part, which is the innovation. Okay, and this is also the part that is easy to justify in terms of the investment. Okay, so why sort of the Israeli startup and actually the VCs are pushing it? They're pushing it not because they're trying to be nominated for sainthood. Okay, they're not doing it because they're good people. They're doing it because they see it as an investment opportunity where they can make money. And that's very important. So even some of the stories that you were telling about, I was just writing to myself. It's similar, you know, I don't know how, if anyone here worked for Google or for Microsoft, Facebook, no one, okay. So I don't know if you know, but if you work for Google or for Facebook or for Microsoft, you get not only massages, you get dry cleaning, you get food, you get everything. Why is that? It's because these guys are good guys? No, they're absolutely not good guys. Okay, they're doing it because they can get more out of their workers. Okay, they don't need us talking here about good things for do it. You are giving massages to your people because they're more productive. Okay, which is fine. Okay, but that is not, that's why you're doing it. Okay, so you don't, it's not really any sacrifice of the company perspective. Companies are doing it because they're better off. Okay, where we need the persuasion is to make you think, make you do things that will not increase your value. Okay, that's where the challenge is, and it's very important to remember it. Okay, and whether it's Kong or others, okay, I don't see many companies, and I both in contact and do a lot of research on, you know, for example, CSR or ESG funds. Okay, I don't know how many of you are willing to say, oh, I'm investing in ESG funds, so I'm willing to accept 100 basis points less a year. None of you, right? Okay, so the question is how to do it. And I'm sorry to tell you, but if you really want to make a mark, there is only one way to do it. Government, regulation, subsidies, taxation. We cannot wait for the goodness of the CEOs to say, oh, I really want to contribute to society. Okay, because they can give great speeches from here, but what they do afterward, they have shareholders and they're responsible for shareholders, and shareholders want return. Okay, so that's very important to remember. And it's really given that if we continue in the trajectory we're continuing for another 7 years, okay, Earth will be 2 to 3% in terms of temperature, higher, you know, degrees, which is going to be disastrous. Okay, 30% actually of mammals will sort of basically disappear. I don't have to tell you all the horror stories about, you know, sort of flooding and whatever you want, 50 degrees Celsius in Africa, which will create sort of a world disorder. Okay, these people will not just sit there and say, okay, let's die quietly. Okay, this will sort of create massive, massive social unrest. So we have to do something fast, and honestly, the only way to do it is with governments around the world trying to do something. Now, it's very difficult because Vietnam is saying, what the hell? You know, China and the US and the UK and all the developed countries caused this mess. Now, why do we have to pay the price? Right? And you're absolutely right. But if everyone will say it, nothing will happen. So part of what we're trying to do is really to promote this and really actually to concentrate, to be honest, on the side of the innovation where it's obvious why people want to do it. Okay, it's sort of tomorrow.io or eConcrete are doing it, they're doing good to the world, but it's what we call in finance positive NPV. Okay, it's something that the return on investment is positive. And I was standing here, I did not try to recommend those companies because they are doing good to the world. They are doing good to the world, but because they are a good investment. Okay, and sort of to combine this, it's very delicate dance, so to speak, of how to do both these together. And we have to be honest with ourselves and to try to figure out when it is this or that. And it's an uphill battle everywhere. I mean, like, you know, it's not an uphill battle. I feel, by the way, Europe is way, way, way more advanced than sort of in Vietnam or in Israel or in Hong Kong. And I feel it also, I don't know how it is here, but even with my 8-year-old child and with, you know, this age, or even 14, they are so conscientious of that, that at least the hope is that the next generation is going to be sort of even more conscious of this. I don't know how it is here at the education of elementary school with that. But, you know, if I dare do something that is not environmentally sound, my daughter gives me hell.
Steve sharing. So that's why from your presentation, the very first slide you mentioned is the message from your former prime minister when he mentioned that he really wants the country to change by startup, by innovation. So the important thing is from the government. Government must do something first. So in the ecosystem that you mentioned, not only the companies, not only the investors, actually there is also expanded to the leaders of the country. However, could you please mention one more time? I know that it's very difficult. Everyone have to move, and of course the government first. But that does not mean that Vietnam and Vietnamese companies need to wait. And we are now audience in the room right now. We are from the business world. We would like to hear from you that from the perspective of business owners, startup founders, what we should do.
So again, I'm going to try to convince you to give up return or good investment because you're going to do good to the world. I don't find that this is a position that I want to take. Okay, the position that I would like to take is actually similar to what Kong, I think, said at the beginning. There are so many ESG potential project or innovation that have positive return, that are worthwhile investing, and especially in this country. Okay, because this country has one of the youngest, sort of most powerful workforce in the world. Okay, and it's really now at the, given also the geopolitical situation between US and China, also it even increases even more its growth potential. Okay, and the ability to do it, any investment, really, I mean, like if Israel can have 700 startups that are only about climate change, I didn't even talk about the food tech, the potential here is 20 times more. There is no reason why we will not do it. And this is actually where we're coming, of trying to help to bring it here in terms of maybe the startups or the way of thinking about it and exploring opportunities, possibly sort of even bringing more VCs here. Okay, because to create an ecosystem, you cannot have 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 VCs. You need here 80 VCs. Okay, you need hundreds of companies to create an ecosystem.
Very good, very important message. We should start even from a business perspective, looking for the return-oriented perspective, and then work for a higher return. And ESG actually bring you a lot of opportunity. So I would like to go back to Ms. Dong, please, for our next question. In your sharing, you have mentioned a lot about how you incorporate ESG principles into your business. And but actually, for many companies, actually, it's like the story of chicken and egg. If we want to invest in ESG, actually, we need good people, and then good people actually also cost a lot of money. So, could you please share what is your opinion? How for firms to balance the initial investment with the long-term benefits? Coming from ESG integration, specifically, what are the major challenges that companies may face in ESG investment? And from your sharing, could you share a little bit about how you overcome the challenge of limited capital when you Actually, 𝗪𝗲𝗀 is a member of PAN, which is have already a very strong commitment toward ESG investment. But could you also generalize the story with other companies when they face such a challenge of limited capital investing in ESG?
That reminded me for the statement from Professor, we are a good investor. We don't invest for nothing. So everyone, when you invest, you also ask like what you invest for. And because of our customer, they are from big corporations around the world. Their strategy, their vision is about the sustainable. So they're looking for a supplier. Must be the same vision and the same strategy like with them. Yeah. And from that one, like we are one of the volunteer pioneer in that area to do it. Not many seafood business can do it like this. Yeah. And also when we invest something, it's not only about the people. We need to balance all the benefit to all our stakeholders as well, including the shareholder, including ownership, including our customer and our people, and even like all people in our value chain. So we don't give the money. Like for example, like we build projects for the minimum for the wages of our people. So last year, our monthly wages in thousand a year in our people is triple, yeah, compared to the national minimum wages. So this is the percentage we try to improve by every year. And where it's come from, it's not only we give them the money, it's not easy like that, but instead like we invest in the technology, we invest in productivity to improve all the outcome, all the finished product is better, and then we divide into it for our person, for each person, and if that increase, their salary increase, and our production, we can selling more products to our customer, and then the revenue, the sales increase, and yeah, the profits increase well, and that leads to the good in the result on the investment for all the shareholder. So just telling you the story. Last year we just built a new factory. The new factory is cost a lot, and it takes time to train all the employee to familiar with that kind of product we build. It's totally new, and mostly we have to support them by a little amount of money for every month, yeah, to get them familiar with that. However, we recognize that from beginning for this issue. So we try, before building that factory, we try to innovate our fryer. The factory is, the product is come from the tempura product, and the tempura is come from the flour and oil and fry and frozen. Yeah, and we try to improve our fryer from beginning. Previously, traditionally, one fryer is cost 3 people in per one fryer. So if you have 100 fryers, so you have 300 people. Yeah, but our innovative fryer, we can get 100 fryer. It's just got only 200 person. Yeah, so you know the same productivity, the same, but the number of people is less. So we can increase the productivity to our customer. The price selling out to customer is reduce. The wages to our people are also increased. So that's the way we try to make. And the other things like when the ESG is also, if you want to do ESG, you need to invest. Although it's just a little amount to the bigger amount, it depends on your business nature. It's up to you. But for some story, for invest, like I'll just show you just about the traditional calendar. It's not cost a lot of money, but you can train our people. We can train our people, just know the way how to work in a proper way. And it's just more invest in massages, yeah, it's not cost a lot, but we can help improve our women back to right to work, mostly more than 70% for daily working here. And from that story, we also do like invest so every quarter we also ask our people for what topic they like, because our company is more than 1,000 people working in here. If we can research and we can just summarize some information for them, so it will save a lot of the cost of people like try to research by themselves for their own. For example, like the tips of financial income or the way of how to raise the children, for example, like that. Yeah. So 100 people, 1,000 people, 1,000 of parents, they are nearly to be. Yeah. So, you know, it's take a lot of way to do. And then if they take a lot of things to research and they don't have time to rest, and then the other day back to work and they feel like tired or something, like it's not very fresh mind and the productivity will reduce. Yeah, that's the way we try to invest on our people.
Interesting. So investment here is actually you do it with every calculation of benefit cost. So you make investment, but actually at the same time you take the benefit of doing it efficiently. So that's how it brings you more opportunity to do ESG more. So it doesn't really make big challenge at first. Thank you so much. May I have a question with Mr. Kong, please? In your actually our sharing so far, we have seen that the level of awareness seems to be better nowadays, but then the actual readiness of applying ESG of Vietnamese companies is still very limited. So could you share, please, with your challenges with your investing company when you try to adopt ESG investing in Vietnam, when the level of awareness and also the readiness is still very low?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So actually about the challenges, I presented something before about the lack of awareness, the lack of right perception on ESG, and the lack of human resources as well. So some companies are well aware of the importance of ESG and know well about what is ESG, but they do not know how to implement it, or maybe lack of resources, lack of human resources to implement it. And even some other companies, they do not know what is ESG. So we see the difference between Vietnam market and other developed markets like Singapore or UK or US. Vietnamese is an emerging economy, so we have a lot of opportunity for growth, and we also need to accept the higher risk on ESG. So we do see maybe we do accept if our investee company may have some high risk on ESG if the awareness and the perception of the senior management are open-minded and they are willing to improve. We will engage with them to help them to improve their ESG practice. So we focus on how to support company to improve their ESG practice instead of avoiding like bad ESG company. This is our approach, and we do see it as also the value-added investment. For example, if a company is good on the financial return, is good on company structure, good on product, but they do not know how to do good on ESG as well, so we will support them to do good on ESG. So we believe that after they are doing good on ESG, the value will be added into the company value as well. Let me share an example, not in Vina Capital, but I mean the approach of doing ESG and doing some return as well. So I supported a ceramic company around 10 years ago. That was the best company in a village, but when we evaluated their production line, we see 20% of the waste product just because of the design is not that good. And the energy efficiency is not that good, in the village. The energy leakage is everywhere. But when we talk to the senior manager of the company, they still thought that they are the best among the village, right? But they still have so many things to improve. And after that, we provided them some solution to prevent the heat leakage, and they can save around 25% of the production cost just by preventing the leakage of the energy. They save a lot of energy as well, and we have them to redesign the product. So it reduces the cost to like less than 5% compared with 25% before. So that means maybe sometimes they lack of expertise how to do it well, just not because they do not want to do it well. Thank you very much.
This is a very interesting sharing. Yeah, even institutional investor, but they have very strong and very deep engagement in the investing company in helping ESG implementation. Is not on the surface, but actually in depth, and then bring a lot of value for the company. So may I have another question before we open the floor to the people? The question is for Professor Roni, please. What is your advice to the founders and potential founders of ESG or climate-related technology to be able to reap the benefits of ESG investment opportunity, which a lot of money coming from the world into Asia? So what is your general advice to the founders and potential founders in Vietnam?
So first, I want to say it in a sort of humble way, because it's not that I'm a Vietnam expert yet after a day of being here. So I'll say probably listen to Kong more than anyone else. I think that what he was saying is super impressive. It's relevant not only to Vietnam, but to the rest of the world, because think about really what he said. He's attacking two acute problems. The first one is measurement. Okay, even I don't know exactly how he's doing it, and his company, but I'm sure that there are issues of measurement. How to measure what is the ES impact is something that there is big debate anywhere, everywhere, including the UN and whatever you want, how to measure it. They are at least making an attempt to do it. The first one in Vietnam, that's already, and this is something that, again, 100 million people, sort of hundreds of thousands of small businesses, and then the hundreds or thousands of traded companies. No disrespect, but it cannot be that you have only one sort of entity that is doing measurement. If you ask me, measurement is something that I can see several startups actually trying to do measurement in a systematic way also here, and in a transparent way. I don't know how transparent sort of you guys are. And the second one is really to try to combine this with sound investment. Okay, you didn't hear sort of him saying, I'm doing it because I want to do something good. He wants to do something good, but really combine it with investment. Now, I think that like in any other field as an entrepreneur, you really have to do your market research. And in most cases, sort of to go to market where there is already a demand, okay, for the innovation. If you try to create the demand, it's much more difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible. Uber done it, Airbnb has done it. But if you really want to succeed, look where the demand is, and then sort of do your sort of competitive analysis, market strategy, and hardly anything here. It's really, I mean, like, I'm going to go back to Israel and tell to my friend, let's explore how we can go to Vietnam. It looked to me like an amazing opportunity. Okay, you have here 100 million mouths you have to feed. Okay, you have hundreds of sort of alternative sort of protein startup in Israel. That can be sort of an amazing opportunity. So I would say the same thing for the Vietnamese entrepreneur. Sort of the basic are the same basics, just let's learn the market and see how we can penetrate it.
Very, very important advice. Yeah, impressive story from every panelist here about how they have done to contribute to the journey of ESG integration in business. So it is a good opportunity for our participants in the hall today to raise questions. Gentlemen, yes, over there. First question.
Hello, my name is Tang, and I'm from Anja Group. I'm the Senior Manager of Investor Relations. So first of all, thank you for your speech. I do enjoy that. So when it comes to ESG investment, uh, there are some kind of companies that have benefit from it for sure, but the majority of the Vietnamese company, especially the private company, I don't think they would have some big benefit or enough of water. Why? Because the Vietnamese economy is structured for manufacturing, not for consuming yet. So when you do too much ESG investment, then would it work to do that? So it's not changing the bulk. It's not like changing the energy source, like from coal to LNG or something like that. I do agree with the Mr. Professor Roni. So it should be something else, innovation. But when it comes to innovation, it's not easy since the private sector cannot afford it. So let's say 52% of the private company in Vietnam is using the outdated technology. Just 10% using let's say, related modern. So how would you fill the gap? First of all, and my second question would be, I saw you have the ESG, Vietnam Capital ESG index or indicator. So because we have a big variety of industries, so do you have anything that can you come up with the universal standard that fit all of the industry? That be a problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Very interesting and challenging questions. The first question, I do agree with Roni as well about no one is business side, no one doing not for profit. I do agree. Actually, there are some philanthropy organization, and we have our Vietnam Capital Foundation established almost 20 years ago, doing things for good. But for investment, when it comes to investment, we need to do something for profit. And I do agree with your company as well. Only if you see some benefit of doing ESG, you will do it. You will not do it just for fun or for the good for the environment or good for the earth. But ESG practice, we have some different level of practice. It can be comprehensive, like replacing the whole production line, or it can be just easier, like changing mindset of the worker. So all of those can make impact. So if you would like to hire an ESG expert, come into your company, walking around, doing all of the analysis, I'm pretty sure that they will provide you a set of solutions. Easy thing to do first, and easy thing to do right away. Longer thing to do in the midterm, and for the long vision, you should do something what. So you will have the vision and the roadmap to apply easy thing first. Anything, I always see that any organization will have some opportunity to improve. So doing it first, and then you can think of some difficult sources later. And for example, even there are so many new initiatives like the carbon credit. If you have heard about that, the carbon credit, all of the investment fund or bank can give you the money, or the credit buyers can give you the money to do all of the production replacement. If you can reduce your greenhouse gas emission, you can create credit and you can sell it. So it is one of the financial incentive to support that kind of comprehensive change. So I hope that answered the first question. And for the second question, do we have the standardized to evaluate all the companies in different sectors? Yes, we do have. So at the moment, we apply the ESG readiness question into our ESG rating framework to that can be applied to all of the company in any sector. For example, if do they record their water consumption? Do they record their energy consumption? Do they have the target for energy efficiency or water efficiency? Have they met that target? Have they have any other initiative on water reduction or energy consumption reduction? I'm pretty sure that that kind of question can apply to any companies. So thank you very much.
I have another question, please. Regarding to your answer, actually I did two Sunwah report 5 years ago. So stuff like measuring, something like consumption, something like that is applicable everywhere, of course. But what's the point at the end of the day? What's the point? We are a construction company. What's the point of the measuring stuff like that? Okay, I change the pipe, I can change the valve, and just spend money for something that. But what we're looking for is the at the end of the day, what impact to our product. You know.
So just say one thing. Okay, just to continue this point, I just saw statistics that in the United States, there are 58 companies that are responsible for 30% of the CO2 emission, 58 companies. Okay, so I think that sort of the point that was raised here is something like, are we playing here something that is very much at the margin, or are we really attacking the core of the issue? And I think it's a legitimate question.
Yeah, thank you. And regarding the question, as I said before, so you need to hire an ESG expert to support you to see where specific job production can be improved. Let me give you an example of the long time airport now. It is dust everywhere, right? It's not important to the business, but it is important to the community for now. So it seems that a very small issue about managing dust, and it seems that they cannot be manageable, but now it's caused like huge impact on the surrounding local community. What if all of the households surrounding they fight against the project and do not allow the project to do anymore? So the small impact can cause a lot of cost for the companies, and that can be manageable if they choose the wet season to do it, not the dry season. The dry season, it seems that the huge area they cannot avoid dust generated from the field, right? But if they do it in the wet season, rainy every day, and it can be avoid dust. So very small change in the construction work from the dry season to the wet season can avoid that huge impact. It seems small, but actually is huge. So for specific solution of your company, I cannot say because I haven't done any assessment that, but I still believe you can find something if you hire an expert to do that. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for honor presentation here. First, I would like to do my name. I'm working Th Environment Company. Yeah, I have a question for Roni, my colleague. Yeah, you know, Iceland, yeah, it's a small country and the population not many people, and per capita, yeah, it considered ranked #1, yeah, higher in the world, yeah. And actually, operation Australian area of Australian over 70% desert, but actually operation Australian either become leading more technology and using solar energy to separate sea river, yeah, to fresh water in the tree, and especially the spray water irrigation in agriculture. And you know, SRNE, the farmer, supply chain in the world, especially agriculture sector. Yeah, regarding, question for you. What is the challenge and difficult for Vietnamese enterprise incorporate with Israel enterprise, yeah, in Vietnam today? The second question for Mr. Kong. Yeah, you know, area of agriculture in Vietnam is account for 70%, yeah, and 90% small and middle enterprise. Question for you: what policy the Vietnamese government to support Vietnam to transform from traditional technology to access modern digital technology?
So if I understand the questions correctly, I think these are questions that are relatively easy to answer in the sense that, as you said, Israel in terms of sort of water, both purification, which is related also to a lot of the shrimp production, and also in terms of conversion of salt water into usable water. Israel is really very advanced with some companies, and there is clearly a need for this sort of here, and will be need for it elsewhere in the world. That's an opportunity. That's exactly where, sort of, whether it's at, what we do at HKU in Tel Aviv, or sort of other vehicle to make the connection and to create such factories here. Just one thing, creating this type of machinery in factory takes time. This is not something that you can do in 2 months. This is sort of several years of production. But this is something that, sort of I put as a challenge to people here in the room and elsewhere, because that's definitely feasible. That was the first question. Now, in terms of the agriculture, actually the 2 companies I presented, this or I introduced before, are doing exactly sort of the thing that you're looking for. One is in terms of the irrigation that is reducing the CO2 emission, the water consumption by around 50% or more. These companies are already sort of have a product that is sellable. Okay, they're not. Of course, they're improving it, developing it, but it's something that they already have revenues. So it's very feasible to do. And the other thing is related to Tomorrow.io, which is exactly about sort of small businesses, sort of the weather forecast and the implementable solution. So if you are a small business, it's something that you cannot do on your own, but it's exactly where you can use a SaaS solution that can help you to do it. But these are just 2 out of many solutions. And honestly, if I were here in the crowd, especially if there is anyone that is related to either investment arm or to government body, it's not that complicated sort of to go and to sort of map out what, let's just take Israel as an example, what exists in Israel, and then try to see where the synergies are there. This is something that is absolutely feasible, and I would love to see it happening.
Yes, and about the question for me, so actually, I'm sorry, I'm not a government official to answer the question, but I've been working with quite a lot of authorities, and they are trying to establish some incentives on low carbon emission agriculture model as well. And if you heard about the Mekong Startup event in Đồng Tháp province last year, the coming years they would organize another event on the low carbon emission agricultural model for that event as well. So I believe there are so many different incentives and policy about that.
What I actually suggest that I'm going to volunteer Jesse here to organize a delegation of business people to Israel for a week. We'll explore their potential startup and companies to collaborate. Thank you, Jesse, for agreeing to do that.
My name is 𝗀𝗲𝗀. I'm from Vietnam Design Thinkers. My question is for Mr. Khong Vu. So you mentioned that the Vietnamese labor market is lacking in ESG skills. I'm curious what those skills are exactly. And if a company were to pursue ESG, to implement ESG, what roles would they hire to do that?
Yeah, that is an interesting question. Thank you. So what are the skills of a good ESG specialist is quite broad. So someone should have the environmental background, or at least some insight about it, about the social issues in Vietnam, about the governance issue in Vietnam. Someone has the business mindset that, as Roni said, we are not doing things not for profit. We're doing things for profit, because only when the company sees the benefit of doing things, they will do that thing sustainably. So the people should have business mindset, put themselves into the shoes of the senior management of the company, and they also should have the leadership skill to influence the change. And what else? So I think that is enough to make it very difficult for organizations to find good people in the market for now. Yeah. So I think that should be the people have dual background environmental or social science and business. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't know, organizer, do we have more time? Probably one more. Okay, please. Thank you.
Hello. Hi everyone. I'm Huyên from Eco Vietnam, also a startup. We're dealing with, we bring the solution for recycle all the food waste as work to Vietnam. And I am very happy to hear that from 𝗍𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 that you have a lot of activities to have a waste separation at work. So the first question is, I'm curious how you deal with the food waste because you have a facility. So how do you deal with food waste there? And for Roni, is like because you come from Israel, where you have also the agriculture country, and how you deal with all the organic waste and the waste at work, how to convince others to separate, like to separate at work and then convert it to be the value so for others sector, and also for with the companies, because it's in Vietnam Capital. I also follow up a lot. I think that we also friend on LinkedIn, so I follow up you. We have a lot of I see a lot of activities from Vietnam Capital that is related to like ESG, but is how do you see the problem with, like, because in Vietnam the waste management is really bad at the moment, and especially like because when all the waste mixed together, so it's very difficult for other waste to not be recycled properly. And then for us, it's seeing that issue. I just started the company to bring the solution from overseas. But in Vietnam, I see that it's a lot of companies not doing it at the moment. But for nowadays, we have to bring something from outside to Vietnam to deal with, to help the companies to deal with the problem. Yeah, thank you. Hope you listen to your answers. Yeah, thank you.
So since I have the mic, I'll start. First, I would be very interested to hear your business plan, because I can see how important it is. I'm not sure I can see how to make business out of it. So I'll be interested later to hear whether you have really a sound business plan that the VC will invest. That's going to be very interesting. So, you know, as I said, Israel actually, in terms of implementing this sort of environmental measure, is not that good. I'll bring you an example from a small town in the US called Ithaca, New York. This is where Cornell is. I was there for many years, and I can tell you what they've done very effectively. So twice a week, when you take your garbage out, you have to put a tag that costs $10 US. It's a lot of money even in the US. Okay, and then you have on the side for free all the recyclables. Okay, so suddenly people have the incentive to separate, because whatever you put in the general garbage, sort of you pay for, and if you mix it not in the right way, you get a huge fine. Okay, so this is sort of like the American way of solving things with carrot and sticks. And I think it's a very simple way to do anywhere, everywhere, including here. So that's what I would encourage. Maybe this is your business plan.
Thank you for your questions. That's really interesting. You know, that's your questions we are doing in this year. Exactly what we're doing this year. So we challenge ourselves every year. We have different projects to increase our ESG year by year. So for the food waste, we have two types of food waste. One is coming from the shrimp shell. We provide it to our supplier. They can produce the chitosan. That's one of the ingredients to take for the medicine. Yeah, and the other way they do the feed mill to provide for the feeding or the animals, kind of that. And for the vegetables, we also have the ways of that. And last year, the end of last year, we have tried to find out some technology to transfer from the vegetable waste to the organic fertilizer. So I think I met you. I think I met some people at your company already, and we find that technology is very good to transform from the waste to the fertilizer, and then from that fertilizer we can give out to our farmers to grow in. Yeah, that way we'll build the tree. But however, the technology is not very popular now. The cost of investment is so high. That's why like we are so feel like is still not very strong decision on that one. So it takes time, and we also find out another way. We try to find out another way to reduce that, how to make it in a good investment for the low cost per unit. And yeah, if that's successful, so we can go for that. And I also hope that we can inspire all the seafood industry or vegetable industry can do like us. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
And for your question about Vina Capital, I can please send me an email. I can refer you to Chung Huang, the head of Vina Capital Ventures, because recently we have invested in some company that have ESG incentive as well. And one is Logivan, that is providing the like more proficient way of food transportation and delivery, and they are interested in any new ESG incentive as well. So please send me an email. I can refer you to ventures.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So thank you so much for your participation. Your active participation actually add a lot of values to our event today. And we would like to thank speakers and panelists for this very productive and informative discussion. We learned a lot from your sharing and explaining of what you are doing good for the world. Thank you so much.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our industry workshop has come to a good end. Thank you very much for being here today, and I hope to see you soon in our next event.